everyone, and welcome to The Impossible, where we empower others to face the impossible, inspire them to be impossible, and motivate them to do the impossible. And today, I have returned. I don't know if that's big news, but it's pretty big news.
I've waited so long to hear that voice.
I have been away, and it has been quite some time. Maybe not to everyone, but to myself and to those that I call loved ones. It has been quite the month that I've had, and there's a lot to look back on. There are a lot of details that I'll be sharing over some individual episodes, but today I'm here with my brother Matthew Hill, our founder, our fearless leader, and I'm excited to be back. It's the holiday season, so I couldn't miss this chance to come down and see everyone before I went into isolation for the next month, which is fun, but I really needed this, and I'm very thankful to be here. And you can probably guess that a lot of things went right for me to be here right now, and that would be true. But this past month has been an absolute roller coaster.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
He literally, I mean, to give an example of the roller coaster, Austin was literally in surgery less than 24 hours ago. He just finished up his stem cell transplant, the entire treatment course yesterday, and got his port removed surgically. Drove down here last night, and now he's on a podcast today, and which for you guys will be Christmas morning. We wanted to give the beautiful president of Austin Douglas to everybody for Christmas.
I love it.
Dude, I know there's so much to unpack here, and we'll spend several episodes diving into the entire process of the stem cell transplant. Mm-hmm. But give everybody just like a brief overview of what's been happening over the last month, just so they can get caught up and know and understand like where you started, where you went to, where you are now, and what things look like going forward.
Absolutely. So the real party began the week of Thanksgiving. So the weekend prior to Thanksgiving and then going into Thanksgiving week, I was undergoing a daily regiment of Neupogen. Neupogen is a medication. It's a fast-acting medication version of this family that tells your bone marrow to produce a lot of stem cells. And then the stem cells turn into red blood cells, white blood cells, immune system cells, and a bunch of other ones. But those are the main three that we're obviously looking for. And I'm going on, it's daily. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And when I get to Monday, I have to go and get another injection of a different type of medication. This medication, I forget the name of it, and I'm not even going to try to butcher it in front of you right now. But basically, its job is it goes in and it tells the stem cells that are being produced in your bone marrow at a rapid rate now. It's telling them to stay stem cells and then to stay within just kind of hang out within your bloodstream. And this drug came with some risks, and I got to, or I had the opportunity to experience these risks. So, had a bit of an allergic reaction, but unfortunately I had already left after the observation period. So I had to stop at a CVS and grab some Benadryl. That was fun. But, and ultimately got in on Tuesday. And Tuesday was was when I started apheresis. So this is the point to where I have to have the stem cells removed from my body and collected and we have to collect a certain amount for them to be able to use for the obviously for the transplant. I end up having 2 days of that. Again, we'll talk details later. I then get to have Thanksgiving here. That was a nice little surprise. There was the chance of me having to stay up in Cleveland if Tuesday and Wednesday I had not collected enough stem cells. I would have had to collect again on Friday. They were going to make me go in on Thursday, obviously, but Friday would have been possible. But it didn't happen, so I got to experience Thanksgiving and then the weekend after with loved ones and until Sunday. Sunday is a day that I had to drive up to Cleveland, December 1st. And that's where things turned very, very quickly. Very much a flip of the coin. The other half, in terms of not necessarily emotional stability, but emotional almost fragility. I started shaking kind of mentally, and I didn't collapse. I didn't crumble. I fell to my fundamentals, and that was to it's a hybrid stoic-ish version of where I take a calm. I react. I realize that I'm in control of my reaction to what I'm feeling in these moments, and to what I'm experiencing. All of these external factors that are about to absolutely land on top of me, and so we get calmed. And then December 2nd, that is where the chemo begins. Chemo regimen is beam, and you go through the regimen. You don't go through all 4 chemos for all 6 days. It's kind of scattered out between the 4 for the 6 days. So that's December 2nd to December 7th. 6 days in a row I get chemo. And not just any chemo. This is high dose. This is brutal. This is side effect heaven.
Yeah.
Chemo.
Yeah. This is they're agents that are kind of out of the stone ages of cancer therapy. Agents that are not used heavily anymore for the most part. Some of which I'd never even encountered before, despite all of my years of experience, both as a patient and as a healthcare provider in oncology. And so because they are such Stone Age technologies as far as chemo, they are very, very widespread in their destruction. They are not nice and targeted like a lot of the more modern agents, some of which you've received before. Mm-hmm. These ones go in and they wreak havoc on the body, which is their intent. It's what they're designed for, but it is still, it doesn't make it any less brutal to try to bear through some of these agents.
And I will admit that the side effects weren't necessarily there on day, because we're as the calendar goes, the first day of chemo, December 2nd, is day -7, to then counting down to day -0 being December 9th. December 9th, I'm done with the chemo, and this is where the stem cell infusion occurs. But what was nice is that through those days before, side effects really weren't there. And
yeah, you were really in pretty good shape.
I wasn't feeling too bad.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
Day -0, December 9th comes around, and this is stem cell infusion day. And I'm feeling pretty good. Infusion goes fine. I don't have a reaction, which is possible, but I don't, which is nice. And all of a sudden, and we knew this going in, and I had to, I apologize profusely, but it wasn't my fault. I smelled like cream corn.
That was the wildest thing ever, because I got up there on was it the 9th? I think it was the 9th or the 10th I got up there, and you had just had your infusion earlier that day. And I remember you opened the door up to the place you were staying, and it's like it just hit me, like smacked me in the face. Creamed corn, which is not something I think I've eaten in over a decade. Yeah. I don't know why I'm so intimately in tune with the smell. Maybe it's just the Midwest blood coursing through my veins.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
But that is exactly the smell that was emanating from your body. I mean, not the worst smell, honestly.
Right.
It's not terrible, but
yeah.
It's just, why is it that a stem cell infusion causes this?
Well, and the curious thing about it was for the CAR T cell therapy, they had told me that with that infusion, T cell infusion, I was either going to smell like cream corn or onions.
Oh.
And it was cream corn then too.
Okay.
So I don't, if you put cream corn on the stovetop by itself, well, you don't need to add much butter. Salt it, pepper it. I kind of enjoy it, kind of eating it there. But smelling like it, I'm sure that this is not a fun time for those that are around me.
Yeah.
So, but
hey, man, it was not the worst smell. It was just peculiar more than anything else.
Could have been
catching
onions.
a whiff of it, but
could have been onions.
Nah. You're too Midwest for that. Man.
I would have felt terrible. Then I would have felt very bad. But little did I know that I was going to feel very bad very quickly.
Yeah.
So the week of December 9th, Tuesday rolls around, and I'm still feeling okay. And then as the week goes in, the effects of the chemo start to kick in. Counts start to drop. White blood cell count drops. And these are blood work, so you have your CBC, which is complete
blood count.
And then you have your CMP, which is complete metabolic panel. And these are the two blood work collections that I'm having done every single day. And the metabolic panel is one that includes like your potassium levels, magnesium levels, which were two that we had to watch, sodium, your
electrolytes.
Your macro electrolytes. And then the CBC is the one that has the white blood cell count, red blood cell count, and then your immune system cell counts as well. So the monocytes, lymphocytes, and these are numbers that I'm used to seeing elevated. And then eventually they kind of go down to normal-ish levels after you go through some treatment. Well, that next weekend, so this is like December 13th, 14th, 15th, my lymphocyte count goes to 0. Not readable. My monocyte count goes to 0. No data to be read, I'm pretty sure is what it said on the actual report. I'm just like, whoa. Yeah. My white blood cell count, 0.03 is the furthest it got down to. Yeah, none. An absolute wipeout. And then the last one, which was, and then you have two more reads or markers on the CBC. You have platelets, which are just red blood cells.
Those are your clotting factors.
There we go. So platelets, this number on the test will determine whether or not I need platelets infused. So you get down to, like, humans, we normally run around, 120 to 160?
Yeah, the average is pretty wide. I want to say it can be like 150 to like 300 actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go. See, that's why we have you here. I was down to 5.
5. And for multiple
5.
days, you were under 10
Yeah.
while getting platelet infusions.
Yeah. So the first day infusions, I was at like 12.
Yeah.
And then the second day, I was down to 5. And this was coming into the week of December 16th. And over the weekend what was it, 4 or 5 days in a row I had to get platelets. Because it was 12, and then it was 5. And then it was 7, then it was 8. And it started to climb back up throughout the week of December 16th. And I got up to 18 or 20. And they said that I was fine. And that would have been Wednesday, I believe. So this was December 18th. Excuse me. And this is also when, and again, I'll talk in detail on some other episodes, but this is where the chemo side effects are just raking me over the coals. Mouth sores like I've never had, throat sores, because it was so difficult to get liquids down. Nausea that was out. It was fairly well managed. I will say that. I had it. It wasn't gonna be gotten rid of, but it was very well managed. So I was very thankful for that. And we had some how could you just say, old friends, old comrades that were able to, on my side in terms of the pharmacy side or pharmacy corner that did really well. And she, the pharmacist took care of me and adjusted when I needed to make adjustments. And then that went really, really well. So I was very thankful for the help that she gave. And then we got to the weekend before December 23rd. December 23rd is a big day because that is the day that we expect to remove my central line. The central line is what I had in. It's a line that goes directly into my heart, pokes out of my right pec, has 3 leads that sit there and dangle. I sleep on my right. I was scared out of this world sleeping without a shirt on. So I slept with a shirt on, and I'll talk about the night sweats and the dreams. The lucid. I have never. There were times that I had a very difficult time discerning reality from the exit of a dream coming into reality. I have a very, very difficult time. But we're coming into this weekend, and my platelet count has to be 30 or above for December 23rd for me to get that central line out. This is a very big day. We want that central line out.
Yeah.
Not only is it annoying, but it also puts me at an infection risk.
Yeah.
I have something poking out of my skin. Yeah. I have to have it covered. I cannot take showers like a normal person.
And most importantly, you can't bench press.
And most importantly, I cannot. I lifted one day out of that month, and because of my hemoglobin dropping as well, I rued that day for about 4
for that.
Yeah, for about 4 or 5 days after, and it was just a simple arm workout. I had she had the Verbo had the Beach Body VHS tape weights, the 1 pound, the 2 pound, and the 5 pound. So I was sitting there like, okay, that'll be fine. I just get some movement in, get some blood flow going. Well, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. But anyway, so coming into the weekend, so it's Friday. So this is Friday, December 20th. I'm in there for an appointment, and I'm doing fantastic. My white blood cell count recovered really well. I was in the 6s or 7s coming into Friday, which was they were surprised by, which I was just like, all right, so that's a good thing, I think. and And so we're focused on platelets. We're focused on platelets. My platelet count was at 25 on Friday. So we're like, okay, we should be good. We should be good. And they came to me and they're like, hey, Austin, how would you like the weekend off from coming in for appointments?
Nice.
And I was like, yeah.
Yes, please.
I will take that.
Yeah.
And so we go and have the weekend off, relaxed. I went out to a coffee shop for the first time. Had to get decaf coffee because my GI tract was not ready for caffeine, or that amount of caffeine. And so I got a decaf espresso latte. I felt terrible ordering that. Decaf.
We all make sacrifices, man.
We have to.
People don't understand how hard it is.
It's required. It was required in that moment. Because I mean, that's unfortunately another reality that I had to face was that my GI tract was, what's the way to describe it? Like the lining of my GI tract was basically melted away.
Yep.
Literally. But I think it's somewhat back, so we're good. So over the weekend, relaxing. Coming into Monday, December 23rd. Yesterday. About 24 hours ago to right now, I'm waking up, getting ready to head in because a doctor was very kind in coming in very early because my surgery check-in time was 8:30. So we had to collect blood at like 7. Like we had to. And then a doctor has to be there to approve it, to approve that my platelet count was high enough for me to go in for the surgery. Because if it's below 30, I cannot have the central line removed. And I cannot tell you what that would have done to me.
Yeah.
That would have been, I don't want to say catastrophic, but it would have been close. So we go in, 7 a.m., blood is drawn. 7:55. Platelets come back. 30. We need 30. It came back 93.
Get some.
93.
Platelets don't usually recover that quickly. Usually they're very slow, very gradual increase. So that's impressive.
I tripled in 2.5 days.
You took an extra dose of creatine, didn't you?
What happened was I also went for lunch. For lunch on Saturday, I met up with a good friend of mine that lives up there in Cleveland, he's been an absolute killer in these times for me. He's been there, and I'm very, very thankful for him. Very thankful. He's also saved me, I have to say, a lot of money for hotels. So but he's always, whenever I message him, and I'm like, hey man, I have this appointment here in the coming days, can I stay? And he's just like, yeah, of course. And we went to lunch, and I said, hey man, I have this hankering for pasta. I need me some pasta. I don't know about pasta helping me a whole lot with red blood cells, or platelets. Sorry, platelets. We go to this new restaurant. Neither of us had tried it. It was actually, the location was at the end, quote unquote, end of the canal, the Towpath Canal, the Towpath Half Marathon that JD and I ran, and Andrew.
That was April?
That was in April.
Yeah.
It's at the building that is at the turnaround of the canal there. Miles, I don't know. Like mile 9 or something, 9.5. So I'm like, oh, I know the area. Perfect. So we go into the building. It's called Lock Keepers. One word, Lock Keepers. We go in, and this is like, I'm thankful that I put on a polo, but I kept on my very nice legendary flannel on top of it because the servers we're all in a 3-piece suit minus the jacket, and I'm very thankful that I kept that on, and it was nice. And the dish I wanted to try before I even walked in, I was just like, oh, there's a duck bolognese. So bolognese being like a red meat sauce. In this case, it's duck, and I'm like, oh, this will be awesome. The amount of duck bolognese in this dish, I'm not lying. I consumed close to a pound of duck.
Yeah.
Do you know how lean that is? Do you know how much protein?
It's a lot of protein.
That is a lot
and
of protein.
your body needed that after that week of not hardly eating.
Of sub 1,500 calories.
Yeah.
And maybe 2 liters of fluids. And so it was fantastic. And so I kept the protein train going that entire weekend, and it worked. It worked.
Heck yeah.
Something worked.
Yeah.
Because I tripled my platelets.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the bone marrow transplant nurse who I've had during this time, which she was, she was awesome. I'm very, 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 I cannot say very enough thankful for what she had done for myself, for my caretaker, who was my mother, and when you were there, you know, as soon as you met her, you were just like, dude, you're in good hands. You're in good hands. and I was. Unfortunately, she started her vacation on December 23rd. So, which, go enjoy the holidays. Like, don't, like, I'm good. And I was really good, evidently. So I was set for success. And so at 9 a.m. or 9:10 a.m. December 23rd, the procedure begins, and central line, they lidocaine me up. They don't put me under. There's no anesthesia, or there's another word I'm missing, but nothing like that. So I, I'm okay to walk out after a specific time, time of observation afterwards. But 9:10 it started. 9:18 they were done. Yeah. And thankfully, for being only a month, my body did not have the time to wrangle around the catheter, and I was so thankful for that, because my port took 50 minutes to remove.
Yeah.
Just scratching and clawing and ripping from was it scar tissue that it forms around it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, I'm very thankful that it was quick. It was easy. The nurse that was not performing the procedure, she's like, hey, do you want some music on? We recommend that you have at least something on. I'm like, how specific can I get? And she's like, I have Spotify. And I was like, all right. So I said Beethoven's 15th string quartet by the Albenberg Quartet. And she said, okay. And she had to type. and she pulled it up, and it's a phenomenal string quartet. It's one of my favorite. It's one of his later ones. He wrote 17 in total, technically. 16 of them are actually like numbered. And then you have his last opus, at least, which is Grosse Fuge. But it's the 15th, and it was nice to hear something that I've heard many a times. Something just there to keep me level, keep me balanced. Because I know that something's about to be ripped out of my body, and I get weird with this kind of stuff. I get strange. And yeah, we were done, and sub 10 minutes, and observation period went through fine, and yeah, went out, got some food because I was starving. I it was funny walking out of the surgery room and then walking the sky bridges to get to the parking garage. I'm sitting there just like chowing down on a gluten-free blueberry muffin because I was starving at this point. And yeah. So you see somebody like this walking towards you, scarfing down a muffin, just manhandling a muffin, putting it into my mouth, chewing loudly, and then looking at you while chewing, going like, "What are you looking at?" So, the best of times. And yeah, and then I drove down here.
Heck yeah, man. And it's great to have you back.
I'm happy to be back.
Yeah.
I needed this.
Yeah. So we're going to dive again a lot more into a lot of this side of things as well, but there's certainly so much and things you'll still be discovering throughout this process of things you've learned, insights you had about yourself, about the world around you, about your ability to face challenge and overcome it. But if you had to give, we're actually live on Instagram right now.
Oh, fantastic.
So if you had to give one overarching piece to all of this, a way in which you grew, in which you developed, in which you gained insight, at least for right now, what would that one thing be?
One concept that I took coming into especially the Pembro GVD, the introductory chemo side, and then I tried to hold on to it coming into the bone marrow transplant. But ultimately, it was an experiment that I think didn't fail, but did not produce the outcome that I had expected, and I'm somewhat thankful for that. The concept was for me to, in these moments, I knew what was coming in terms of side effects, in terms of what I was going to experience. And through the Pembro GVD, and partially because of the GVD, that part of the chemo, which was violently rough, I wanted to dehumanize the situation. I wanted to dehumanize myself in reaction to these very, very brutal times. And getting to the bone marrow transplant, I thought I could carry that in, but I quickly realized that I needed to be not in the mode of removing the humanity from it. I quickly realized that the humanity was already going to be removed from it because of those external factors, and that I did not need to exacerbate that whatsoever. It was a very, honestly, it was a mistake. It was an experiment that I thought would come out, fairly well to get me through the days. Because I wanted to get through the days. I knew each day itself was going to be very long, but I wanted to get through them via this concept. And I quickly realized that I needed to add a touch of humanity to every single day so that I did not rue and absolutely, and kind of chastise the moments that I was experiencing. I didn't want to downgrade them, to downplay them, to ridicule them. I didn't want to offer that type of reaction to myself once I got into it, because I allowed that to come out and rear its ugly head during the Pembro GVD. And those are days that I'm not going to get back. And there was a lot there for me to learn. And I thought tossing aside those moments and downplaying them and in the way of dehumanizing it was wrong. I needed to belittle it in the way of adding a touch of humanity to the situation. So I had to change the how of and the why of my approach to the days of the bone marrow transplant. And I'm very thankful that I was able to make that switch in some very pivotal moments, because I needed that, especially when the side effects started to come in for the bone marrow transplant. I needed that humanity. So one big overarching takeaway is that one, be willing to learn from your mistakes. Two, continue to experiment to find ways to have a takeaway from your experiences, obviously. And lastly, when in doubt, add a little extra humanity to the day. And that should humble you, but it should also keep you on track.
That's beautifully said, brother. Beautifully. And I think it makes sense too. You look at the human experience, human existence. So many of us spend so much of our lives focused on eliminating or reducing pain and suffering as much as possible. And yet, so many people who chase that are oftentimes some of the most miserable and unhappy people. Yeah. I think that pain and suffering and fear, all of these things we societally look at as negative experiences, are really just part of the human experience. And in every part of the human experience, there's beauty to it. And I think the beauty comes in the humanity of it. Mm-hmm. The imperfections, the setbacks, the leaps forward, the ups and downs, the roller coaster of change day to day, and the constant pursuit of a certain direction in the face of each of those challenges. That's what the human spirit brings to each of these. And, you look at the greatest works of art ever produced, the Mona Lisa, Beethoven's 15th, all of these pieces contain such tremendous beauty, not because they are flawless perfection pieces. Rather, it's because of the dissonance and the discord and the humanity that they carry within. Something about it speaks to our spirit in a way that now in the age of AI, I don't think we'll ever see AI be able to replicate that piece of humanity.
It won't.
They'll make pieces that are flawless, that are perfect, that are quote unquote better than any human could ever create. Yet the absence of those imperfections is ultimately what's going to, I think, remove most of the beauty, because it's removed the humanity. Mm-hmm. So that's incredible insight, brother. I can't wait to explore that more with you and shape and mold that. into some good, usable, actionable items for us in our own lives and our own pursuit of the impossible, but especially for you guys, the listeners. Yeah. And I'm glad that was like the major takeaway. That's a really powerful piece. I think it's going to drive a lot of forward progress in the coming months and years.
Yeah, and I need a lot more time with it too.
For sure.
For
sure. It's not a quick, easy thing to unpack necessarily.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But brother, it is good to have you back in the studio.
Happy to be back.
It's good to have you back here. It's good to see that smile on your face, even though we had to suffer the loss once again of the beard.
It's there.
I know we're going to get questions about it, so I had to.
It's there. It's coming back.
It's growing as we speak.
As we speak.
You just can't see it.
It's on its return. I can't wait.
Yeah. Hey.
It's cold.
It'll cut. Yeah, well, yeah. I can't imagine.
Especially up on the lake, man. All that wind, and I'm just sitting there like, hey, Austin, are you okay? And I'm just sitting there with like my jacket on, like, everything's fine.
By the time you're in Scotland,
it'll
at least partially be back.
No, it'll be back.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be back. But at least I'll look like everybody.
Yeah. Sounds good, brother. Well, you got anything else for us here? All right. Guys, it is Christmas Day. You're hearing this. Couldn't be a better gift than to have our brother Austin Douglas back and to be healthy and to be beginning this next phase of reclaiming health, healing, and pursuing life totally cancer-free from here on out. Thank you guys for checking in. To all the guys on the Instagram Live, thank you for being a part of this. We just randomly decided to hop on here 7 a.m. on Christmas Eve morning just to see who wanted to jump in, be a part of this, and hear Austin's story of overcoming his third and what we know will be the final battle with Hodgkin lymphoma. Guys, the number one thing we always ask is if you gain something from this episode or you know somebody you think it could help, please share this episode on all your social medias with all your friends that you have, because that is the number one way that we live out our mission and vision in this world. It's through you guys. Because at Impossible Performance, we are striving to build a global culture of strength, fostering a spirit of growth in constant pursuit of the impossible. Thank you guys for listening. Have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a Happy Holidays, whatever it is you celebrate. Spend it with family, spend it with loved ones, spend it listening to great podcasts and learning and growing and giving thanks for everything you have in your life, all of the beauty and the happiness, as well as all of the pain and the suffering, because every part of that is a part of humanity. It's a part of being human, and we can always learn and grow and build strength from it. So take care, guys. Thank you for listening, and as always, be impossible. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man.
And go buy some Kenetik. Your brain will thank you.
I'm thankful right now.